Hey you guys, so I made this video and I completely forgot to do an intro while I had on, while I looked all pretty and all that. So um, this skirt is super fast. If I had had the waistband elastic with me the first morning that I started filming, this probably wouldn't have taken an hour to do. It's super fast. Even if you're a beginner, it still would only take you maybe 2 hours at the most, just because your speed would be a little slower. There's a few things that I wanted to say before you start watching the actual tutorial. One, sorry for me being in my pajamas and my hair being all crazy. I just decided to make this impulse before I went to work. And so I was like, oh, well, I should totally show them how to do this because it's super easy. And so I just had to do it when I was doing it, which is me not looking so great. So there's that. And I also wanted to say that I'm a size 22-24 on bottom, which is a 3X, 2X, 3X, just depending. So if you're a 1X, you could probably still use all of the fat quarters. So I'm using 5 fat quarters to make this skirt. Once you get like 1X or below, you should totally cut your fat quarters in half. And then when you get down to like smalls and mediums, you maybe even need to take out, like cut them in half and then maybe not use all of them, or cut them into 4ths even. What you're going to need to do is measure your waist, and because the gathered nature of the skirt is going to give you enough room for your hips, even if they're larger. But measure your waist and do something, have your pieces to measure like around double the size of your waist measurement. Just gives a nice gathered skirt, sorry. So about roughly double your waist measurement. Could be a little more or a little less, and I just wanted to point that out. If you're small, you do not need to do all 5 pieces, all 5 quarters or fat quarters, because you'll end up with like a showgirl skirt or a can skirt. So I just wanted to say that. I hope you'll have fun with this tutorial. You can message me if you have questions, as always. This is 4th of July weekend, so I hope everyone has a great one, and happy 4th to everyone in our country, to everyone who has served, who is serving. And if you make the skirt, make sure you tag me on social media, because I would love to see it. They're just a lot of fun. Okay, you can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fat quarters. These were given to me as a gift. Thank you, Donna. In a little, not a jelly roll, but a little stack. So you can just leave the fat quarters as is. I have chosen, since there's one like big contrast fabric, the black, I've cut it in half so I can put it in between. I'll go white, pink, black, white, pink, black for the skirt. So I've just cut this one in half lengthwise, and I've cut all of the edges off the fabric, and that's all you need to do. Now we're just going to sew them end to end. Okay. I'm going to sew them end to end. Maybe I'll start with black. We'll do black, white, pink, black, white, pink. Of course, you can put these together on the serger if you want, but I'm not doing that because it's not necessary, and I don't know if most people even have a serger. So you can do this skirt on a basic super basic machine. Okay, so I'm just going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. We've got one long strip, and I'm not going to join it at the ends because it's easier to put the waistband in. So let's go press these seams out. Okay, pressing seams. You can press the folds out if you want. Oh, and also, you should totally pre-wash your fabric. You're going to lose about, at the most, 1/4 of an inch from shrinkage on cottons. But I'm not, because I just don't. Not with something that's just straight like this. If something that I don't want to shrink or I'm really worried about shrinking, I'll pre-wash it first. But like just a little elastic waist skirt, I'm not. It's fine. It will be fine. Danny had a brand new pack of waistband elastic. So you can see it's wide and it stays straighter than just a regular like elastic that you put inside of an elastic casing. So this will be the actual waistband. It's already cut to the size of my waist. In general, you should make it a couple of inches smaller, but I do it exactly to fit because my butt is so much larger than my waist. If it pulls in at all, there's puckering that happens at my butt, and I don't want that to happen. So, as we can see here, the fabric is tons and tons bigger than the elastic. It's twice the size. So what I'm going to do is pin, oh, and also I'm sewing this in flat, not in the round, because it's easier. And then I'll just do one seam. So what I'm going to do is pin the ends and then pin the center, and I'm going to feed or ease the rest in, and I'll show you how that goes. Okay. I have pinned. So we'll look at this one side. You can see that the elastic almost, well, you can't see. It's so much. The elastic almost stretches as much as I need it to catch the fabric, but not quite. So we're going to ease. So your little feed dogs under here that do this to the fabric, pull your fabric through as you sew. If you hold the top layer of what you're sewing still, the bottom still keeps feeding through. So it will feed the bottom through at a faster pace. Make sure I got it straight. Than what the top is, so it'll ease any extra fabric. So if you have a larger piece of fabric, oh, it's twisted, on purpose or by mistake, if you just put it on the bottom and put a little bit of tension on your top piece, it will feed that larger piece through. Which is also, if you've ever noticed you had two pieces that were the same size, and or a longer piece. If you got a shorter piece of fabric, it's really not going to do it. But if you notice that they weren't the same size when you finished, that's why. Because the feed dogs on the bottom just pulled that through. Okay, so here's how we're going to ease. I'm going to do a little back stitch so it holds still. So I'm going to pull the elastic like this and push the fabric through like this at the same time. This might take a little bit of getting used to. I'm going to sew a couple of stitches just to maybe. Did I get it caught? Hold on. We got a bobbin. Okay, we're good. I didn't check my bobbin thread, and I thought that's the one thing about this machine, which I'm used to it now, but you don't get any kind of warning when you're about to run out of your bobbin. So you have to kind of keep it in the back of your mind all the time. Okay. don't know that you can tell what I'm doing, but I'm pushing the bottom through as I'm pulling the top. See how it's gathering there? It's really hard to see, but trust me, that's what's happening. Okay, I'm gonna sew through, and I just woke up, so I apologize. You get to see yesterday's makeup and my crazy hair, but I'll be right back. Normally, I would do this on a serger, so all of these little bips and bops would be enclosed, but again, I wanted to do it on something that everybody has. Now, even me, after doing this so long, I still get little places where stuff slips out. So just go back afterwards and sew that down. It's not a big deal. It's gathered anyway. So you probably could just leave it and you would never even notice it. But knowing me, I'll walk by something and it'll catch and pull it and rip my skirt, and I would be traumatized. I think we're good everywhere else. Okay, now what I'm going to do is put right sides together, starting at the waistband, and just sew straight down the skirt. And if you wanted to, you could, and sometimes I do, go ahead and hem the bottom while it's straight, because it's always easier to do anything on straight than it is on curved, but there's so much fabric, it will basically be like doing a hem on a straight piece of fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up. Okay, now let's go to the iron and press up the hem. Okay, I got my easy hem, which if you've watched this before, you know all about it. And this, for me, to wear to work, this is a bit of a shorter skirt because my butt, today's series is all about Renee's butt. So my butt is much larger in proportion than the rest of my body. So it tends to hike up dresses and stuff in the back. Lots of women have this issue. So I'm not going to do, like, I would prefer the look of like a 2-inch hem. But what I'm going to do is press it up, excuse me, press it up an inch. And then I'll turn the edge down a 1/2 inch inside to finish it, since we're not using the serger. So you can see that I've turned it down an inch, or pressed it down an inch. So as I sew, what I'm going to do is just turn this little edge up under. So we're going to end up with a 1/2 inch finished hem, since I'm not serging it. I don't even know, the skirt doesn't have a back or a front necessarily, so we're just going. I'll put my label somewhere on it in a minute. but there's no front or back as far as that's concerned. All right, we are done. So both ends are finished. The insides aren't finished because it doesn't really matter. If you're OCD about that kind of thing and you don't have a serger, you can zigzag or look up the different seam finishes. I personally don't care. And if you're OCD, you should probably get a serger just to make your life easier. But I think we're good. So here's the skirt. I'm going to go put it on.